In the early months of 2023, the tech industry was rushing to build the perfect chatbot. But almost every large language model hitting the market shared a fatal flaw: structural amnesia. The standard context window, the system's active working memory, was capped between 4,000 and 8,000 tokens. That was enough capacity for a quick conversation, but if you asked the system to process a book-length piece of logic, it would lose the thread of the first chapter by the time it reached the end. Yang Zhilin saw that constraint as a matter of engineering priority, not technical inevitability. A recent graduate from Carnegie Mellon, Yang considered himself a stubborn AGI purist. He rejected the prevailing trend of building mere chatbots and decided to focus his entire lab on solving that memory problem. He returned to Beijing and founded Moonshot AI. To set the tone for a very different kind of company, he placed a piano in the lobby and hung a vinyl copy of Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon near the entrance, a literal nod to the English translation of his company's Chinese name. Raising $60 million to ignore the chatbot craze and focus entirely on long-term memory was a massive gamble. Every other major lab was chasing quick consumer adoption. Yang was building for the long game. This compares standard memory capacities. On the left, the tiny 4,000 token limit overflows instantly. On the right, Kimi's massive 128,000 token vault effortlessly ingests towering stacks of legal contracts and academic papers, analyzing the entire text without losing the thread. By March 2024, Moonshot pushed a massive update, expanding Kimi's working memory to handle 2 million Chinese characters in a single prompt. The demand was instantaneous. Kimi surged up the App Store charts, briefly passing WeChat, and a crush of users physically buckled Moonshot's servers. The service went completely dark for 2 days, displaying a 429 overload error. Crashing your own systems isn't a failure if it's driven by such high demand. Breaking the servers proved that Yang's first milestone on his roadmap to artificial general intelligence, limitless memory, was exactly what the market actually needed. By the summer of 2025, the consumer AI space in China had become brutally crowded. Baidu, Alibaba, ByteDance, and DeepSeek were all pouring capital into identical markets, and Kimi eventually slipped to 7th place among active users. Instead of fighting a marketing war for consumer clicks, Yang pivoted. He decided to target the people building the next generation of software, releasing Moonshot's frontier models directly to developers as open-source infrastructure. In July 2025, Moonshot released K2, China's first 1 trillion parameter open-source model. Within 48 hours, GitHub projects branching off its architecture spiked by 200%. The community called it another DeepSeek moment. Moonshot was now the foundational infrastructure for a sprawling network of applications. Stepping away from the consumer popularity contest was a calculated sacrifice. Yang knew that to build a genuine path to AGI, you need a massive, active developer ecosystem, pushing the limits of your architecture. That ecosystem set the stage for Yang's second milestone, a multimodal world model. True intelligence requires actively perceiving the environment, not just reading about it. In early 2026, Moonshot delivered that perception with MoonVit, a 400 million parameter vision encoder. The AI finally had a native set of digital eyes. With this new vision capability, Kimi didn't just look at pictures. It could autonomously navigate websites and execute complex tasks solely by watching a video demonstration. The integration of limitless memory and visual perception allows the system to behave as an active, capable observer of the world. Yang's third milestone targets the core architecture itself. He envisioned a scalable general system capable of continuous self-improvement and long-horizon reasoning, completing complex sequences of thought with almost no human intervention. This radar chart maps out the frontier of artificial intelligence reasoning. Following its release in July 2026, Kimi K3 pushed to the very outermost edges of these performance benchmarks, operating right alongside heavyweights like GPT 5.5 and Claude Opus 4.8 on complex multi-step engineering tasks. Building infrastructure at this level has immense financial gravity. By the spring of 2026, Moonshot had secured roughly $2 billion in new funding, rocketing the company to a $20 billion valuation and officially cementing its status as a global decacorn. But feeding an architecture of this scale requires mountains of information, and data acquisition is a high-stakes global race. In February, Anthropic accused Moonshot of using thousands of fraudulent accounts to siphon Claude conversations for their own training pipelines, a look into the intense pressures underlying modern model development. It is a staggering level of global tension for an enterprise that started just 3 years earlier, with 3 at Tsinghua University alumni sitting in a small room in Beijing. Young Jolin looked at an industry obsessed with chatbots and placed a different bet. He proved that the road to artificial general intelligence is about methodically engineering the memory, the senses, and the reasoning of a digital mind.